Inflation and the economy. This video is an overview. The reference for this material is in the description. Click the link to visit the websites for more information and data on this topic. Let's dive in. Inflation is the general increase in prices of goods and services in an economy over time, which results in a decrease in the purchasing power of money. When there's inflation, each currency unit buys fewer goods and services than before. Now some stretching. This is very easy, but if you don't like math, see the description. You have all the calculations there. Here's a simple example. If a loaf of bread costs $2 today but costs $2.10 next year, that represents inflation of 5%. While this might seem small, inflation affects everything from groceries to housing and compounds over time. To calculate the inflation rate, you have in the description the calculation. But here it will be easier to calculate. Inflation rate equals 5%. When the price increases from $2 to $2.10, this represents a 5% inflation rate. Here's why. The price increased by 10 cents. 10 cents is 5% of $2. Therefore, this price change represents a 5% inflation rate. Verify if $2.10 is the correct price for a 5% increase. Starting price equals $2. 5% of $2 equals $2 times 0.05, which is 10 cents. New price equals $2 plus 10 cents, which is $2.10. Let's continue with the video. Inflation can occur for several reasons, but the main one is monetary inflation, when the money supply grows faster than economic output, or the central bank prints too much for different causes. Demand pull inflation, when demand for goods and services exceeds supply. Cost push inflation, when production costs increase, leading businesses to raise prices. Central banks like the Federal Reserve in the U.S. try to manage inflation through monetary policy, typically aiming for a low, stable rate of around 2% annually. Too much inflation can erode savings and create economic instability, while too little can signal economic stagnation. In modern economies, inflation plays a crucial role in shaping economic policies, consumer behavior, and business decisions. As a fundamental economic concept, inflation represents the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services rises, consequently decreasing the purchasing power of currency over time. Central banks worldwide monitor inflation rates carefully, as maintaining price stability is essential for sustainable economic growth and financial planning. The mechanisms driving inflation are complex and interconnected. Demand pull inflation occurs when aggregate demand outpaces the economy's production capacity, causing prices to rise. For instance, during economic booms, consumers might have more disposable income, leading to increased spending and upward pressure on prices. Cost push inflation, on the other hand, happens when production costs increase, forcing businesses to raise prices to maintain profit margins. This can result from various factors, including rising raw material costs, higher wages, or supply chain disruptions. The impact of inflation extends beyond simple price increases, affecting different segments of society in various ways. For savers, inflation can erode the real value of their money if interest rates don't keep pace with price increases. Borrowers, however, might benefit from inflation as they repay their debts with money that's worth less than when they borrowed it. This dynamic particularly affects long-term financial planning, retirement savings, and investment strategies, making it crucial for individuals and institutions to consider inflation when making financial decisions. Example 1. Consider a family that saved $50,000 in 2000 for their child's college education. With an average annual inflation rate of 2.5%, that same amount would only have a purchasing power of about $31,000 by 2020. This demonstrates how inflation can significantly impact long-term savings goals if not properly accounted for in financial planning. Here's the basic calculation. See the description for more. Present value equals future value divided by 1 plus inflation rate elevated to the number of years. That gives $30,513.55, which is the result of $50,000 divided by 1 plus 0.025 elevated to 20. Another case, example 2. A small coffee shop that purchased coffee beans for $15 per pound in January might face a price increase to $18 per pound by December due to supply chain issues and increased transportation costs. To maintain their profit margins, they would need to raise the price of their coffee drinks, passing these increased costs on to consumers. This illustrates how cost-push inflation affects both businesses and consumers in a practical, everyday context. This was an overview. If you like this type of video, consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching.